In this video, we're going to look at the smooth brush as well as the smoothing options that are available when you hold down the Shift key or Control-Shift keyboard combination. With the smooth brush, it's highly dependent upon the brush alpha that you use as well as the brush draw mode. For example, if I use the absolute draw mode, then it has constant pen pressure. It will not affect the radius or the depth. And in many cases, this may be what you want if you want really intense smoothing. For example, if you want to dissolve a portion of your model very quickly, then this may be the option you want to utilize. However, when you use the smooth brush, you can elect to use a very sharp brush alpha to polish small details like this. For example, if I use a regular brush alpha and the absolute draw mode, it might be a little bit too destructive or a little bit too intense. Now you can adjust your smoothing downward so it's a little less intense, but it still can degrade the overall surface. Let me undo a few times here. If I go back to a sharp brush alpha like this, you can see the profile in the center, how it's pointed. That means the smoothing effect is going to be very subtle around the edges of the brush, but a little bit more pronounced toward the very center. If you want polishing, this is probably not the mode to use. You probably want to use something like this where your brush pressure affects the depth. So very light pressure, and using a sharp fall off will just remove the surface irregularities while maintaining the shape of the overall surface. This also works whenever you're smoothing inside of voxel mode as well. So you might save this as a preset. If you don't already see a preset in your user interface, you can go to the Windows menu under pop-ups and dock it wherever you like. Once you have it, you can go to the right side in this little list menu toggle and click Add Preset. Then you can double click on the name to change it accordingly. So let me go back to the smooth brush, and we will go back to just a regular brush alpha. So 9 times out of 10, or I should say maybe 98 to 99% of the time, when you smooth, it won't be using the smooth brush. You will probably be in another tool and hold down the Shift key because it's much more efficient to work this way. You don't have to switch to another brush. And again, you have these menu options here that are available to you that are not yet available in the smooth brush. Perhaps they will be added in the near future. Also, with the smooth brush, when you right click up and down, it does not affect the smoothing amount. You'll notice that what it does do is it affects the depth, and that's really not going to do much with the smooth brush. Okay, this is the main parameter that will affect how much smoothing is applied, and it stops at 100%. The smooth algorithm is just the standard smoothing, much like you would find in any other sculpting application. But then you have additional options. Powerful smoothing will do a few different things. Instead of just smoothing, it's going to try and optimize the mesh. So let me zoom in here, and I'm going to show another option first before I do that. You can reduce, and that is adding some live clay options to where you can hold down the Shift key to basically reduce the polygon distribution or resolution in a localized setting. Let's go to Add Detail and Extra Detail. Now these are very similar, except this one is double the amount of dynamic subdivision that you have here in Add Detail. So let me hold down the Shift key. As I brush, you can see it's dynamically tessellating. Just like live clay, it will change as you reduce your brush. So the smaller the brush, the higher it's going to tessellate. Now let's try powerful smoothing. And you can see what it's doing. It's not only smoothing, but decimating. The next smoothing method is relax. As the name implies, it will simply average the spacing of the vertices. So this would be good to smooth the border areas where you may have tessellated quite a bit and reduced in other areas. Tangent Smooth will produce a very mild smoothing result because it tries to maintain the surface shape while refining the topology. Again, it's a very subtle effect. Reconstruct is really good when you have very small holes. Let me go ahead and just apply a few here at the top. I'll scroll down to Paint Hole, produce my brush size. I'm just going to create a few small ones here. Maybe a larger one. Let's go ahead and hit Apply. So it created some holes. You typically won't find openings this large, but once in a while you might notice a tiny one, and there are some tools that provide a quick remedy. Tools such as Close Holes, Fill Holes, and Reconstruct. And as I mentioned, the Shift key option allows us to use the Reconstruct tool on the fly. I'm going to turn Symmetry off just in case it might interfere a little bit. Alright, so let's increase our brush size. And I'll go ahead and select Reconstruct with the Control-Shift key menu. And then hold down the Control-Shift key combination and brush. I may have to increase my brush size. So let me undo. And it fixed that. So I may start outside that hole and then just brush across it. Same thing here, outside and brush across it, and it fixes it. Now, if you get some kind of a niggly little issue where it looks like some of it is crunched up and poking inward, something like that, then you can resort to using Powerful Smooth. And it will fix it rather quickly because it decimates or optimizes the mesh right beneath the brush. So you can use those two in tandem if you have any follow-on issues there. Alright, so this would be a good point to stop the video, and we will pick up in the next one. So see you then.